All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar to demo the first part of our newest module for Concrete Vision, the safety module. This webinar will cover the first few pages that we are going to be releasing to all customers for the safety module. And then we have another portion of the safety module called the form builder that we will be doing another webinar in the future. But first, we're going to release these first things to everybody. A basic agenda for the webinar today.
Let's get started then. So first thing you're going to want to do is go to configuration safety setup. You're going to go to safety divisions. So here I already have some preset divisions, but if you wanted to create a new one, you simply go there. Division E. So now you got a new division. You then go to safety locations. And then using that division you just created, you would create like a new safety location. And you can adjust the order by if you felt like putting it higher up in the list. You can activate and deactivate certain divisions. Say if there was an instance where a location was no longer being used or active, we'll keep it active for now.
What's an example of one of the locations that one of our customers has used?
Typically, it's going to be like a plant, but not necessarily always a plant. I think when we created this, we made it kind of flexible because we knew that safety observations and incidents don't always happen in plants or around them. So we will. Does that answer the question, Brent, or should I elaborate more?
We have actually even seen it broken down to the bed level.
Yeah.
Where the locations can be as granular as a bed.
Right.
Except those are the areas, aren't they?
Yeah.
Locations have been plants and areas have been beds. Sorry about that, Nate. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. No worries. So after you get your location set up, you can go to safety areas. And these can be, anywhere, I guess, in a location. If anybody recognizes some of them, just ignore that. But you can always create like new locations, like or areas. I mean, area by the water cooler. And I guess I should also mention that on those 3 configuration screens, you have the option to export it to PDF or Excel for whatever reason, I guess. You just want to show people or email them like where you think potential safety incidents could happen. But once you have your safety divisions, locations, and areas set up, you could go to CRM setup and then go to contact drop-down setup. And this next part is important because you need to have a safety team item for the people you'd want to have get emails on the completion of behavior observations or near miss reports, etc. So once you go there, you can see some scrub data. You can always add new contacts, and these contacts will show up as options for people who will get the safety emails when you complete a behavior observation, a near miss report, or an SSI report. How am I doing, Brent? Am I moving too fast, or?
You're doing great, Nate.
All right, cool. So let's start with a behavioral-based observation, and you can find that under the safety menu. So correct me if I'm wrong, but a behavioral-based observation isn't always an incident. It could be something as simple as seeing like a cord.
That would be a near miss. A behavioral based observation is if your safety team does regular observations of areas of your facilities just to make sure people are following standard work and keeping an eye and making sure they're adhering to the safety standards of your plant. So this is an observation. A near miss incident is anything that you notice or that happens that doesn't result in an incident. If you see water on the floor that could be a slipping hazard, even if no one slips, that would be a near miss incident.
Okay. Gotcha.
That might come out of a behavioral based observation where you see a problem during your behavioral based observation and you create a near miss incident out of what you found in your behavioral based observation.
Gotcha. Okay. So here, this is like a new form. You would type in who you are, what exactly you observed. I guess people walking too fast on heavy machinery, that could be a thing, right?
This would be the location or what you were observing for your behavioral based. It could be bed 2.
Okay, bed 2. Well, I thought, wouldn't that go under location right down here?
It could, but who or what observed, or you could be watching the adherence to standard work.
Okay. All right. So here you can pick what day it happened, what division, location, and what area. And here there are some multiple, well, I don't want to say multiple choice, but you can choose whether or not they passed, failed, or not available.
Not applicable.
Yeah, not applicable. Sorry. Pass. Help me out here, Brent.
So this is where if you were creating an observation, you would list safe acts you observed during your observation and unsafe acts that you observed during your observation.
Right. So I think
if I were watching Nate and he didn't have his safety glasses on, I would put that in the unsafe acts. If I were watching Nate and I saw him cleaning up a spill, I would list that under the safe acts.
Okay, cool. And here we can upload certain files if we really wanted to. Here you can say if you talk to the worker or not. Overall, we're just going to give it a safe operation. And here are the list of contacts that we set up in the contact dropdown setup for a safety team. Take a second while it parses.
And if
sorry,
what you will notice down where we've selected contacts is those first 2 fields are only available for people that are set up in your safety team under the contact dropdown, but we do allow you to notify one person who is not on your safety team if you want to. It just has to follow standard email convention in the name. It has to have an @ symbol and a .com, .net or something in it. But we do not check that email has gone through and confirm that it is sent. We just send it to that email.
Yep. And right now I'm on my local host version of the application, but you would get an email with the general information of behavior observation. And once it successfully, goes through, it'll take you right back to the screen if you want to just rapidly, fill out behavior-based observations. But besides like the validation, it won't let you submit this unless You fill out the required fields. I don't think there's anything else worth mentioning on this. And this is a near miss report. And as Brent kind of elaborated earlier, it's if you saw something that could potentially cause an incident, this would be where you'd fill in the information. Take the date and time. Here you can set the priority. So obviously stop working report would be like a major deal. Use caution, continue report. Say, unsafe act, unsafe condition, unsafe equipment, or unsafe use of equipment. Was juggling hammers. Reprimand. Same as before, you can select who you want to assign this near miss report to, and also who you'd like to just forward it to. Similar to behavior observations, but you can choose an additional person to notify. You get an email with basic information about what happened. Now, if you are someone with the right permissions, you can always see these completed behavior observations and near miss reports by going to either BBO supervisor report or NMR supervisor report. And here you can see a grid of all the completed near behavior observations. Let's say you wanted to go test one that we made recently. No, let's go back and change it to don't ask me why there's a water cooler near the bed, but there is. And you can see the files that you uploaded. Download them or delete them if you wish. Take you back to the supervisor screen. This button right here will tell you when it was created specifically and or modified, and who did it based on the username. You can export to PDF or Excel this grid. You can filter based on the text in the observer name. And also it comes pre-sorted by date of observation. So the newer behavior observations will be at the top. We can always filter saying, hey, we want to know what happened around Christmas time. So then you get a list of all the observations that happened around this time. Same with division, you can filter which divisions you want. Really useful if you're just trying to figure out what's happening in a specific location or division. safe, unsafe. You get the idea. Pretty much the same functionality as on the behavior-based observations as far as filtering and sorting and whatnot. Oh, I guess if you wanted more on a page, you could increase the grid items per hit page. But I think 50 probably does the trick.
All right. Why don't you show us your creme de la creme, Nate?
All right. So this is the supervisor incident investigation report. Unlike the behavior observations and near miss report, this just goes to the what would have been the supervisor page for those behavior observations or near miss reports. With the idea being basically anybody filling this out is going to be a supervisor.
These are for this is for your recordable incidents.
And you'll notice that unlike behavior observations and near miss reports, you can't edit. There's no edit button, but you can view previously created reports. So let's pretend like we're a supervisor going in. Here you can pick the incident date and time. Let's say it happened at 9 a.m. today. You can pick when it was reported. Let's say they're on top of it. They just got it right in 30 minutes later. The time is in 30-minute increments. You know, I don't think we have to be super specific as far as.
But you can edit it specifically. Yeah. That's just the drop down is in 30-minute increments.
Right. So I start at 8 a.m. And remind me again what this one is, Brent. I know that like there was a difference between the date and time report and the date this is report completed.
As we go through this report, you will see that some of this stuff will require some investigation and problem solving. So the report is often not completed on the day that it happens.
Right. Yeah. So it's also filtered by the date and incident times. Obviously you can't complete a report that on an incident that happened before you reported it. So limits it to that. We'll say I'm a new guy that started last week. You can choose whether or not actual medical treatment or first aid for the incident. You obviously can upload files. So this right here is the body map, and you can choose specific areas on the body that were affected. So we're going to say left hand. Let's say I also got like a headache. Face, eyes, mouth, teeth. Those are really egregious coding sprain. We're gonna say my friends, our coworkers, Billy, Bob, Joe all saw it. You can select which protective equipment was worn by the employee. I was wearing my eye protection. I was wearing a hard hat when I was coding, knee pads, boots. And you can also, I was wearing my special sunglasses was an abrasion. I got a rash afterwards. Kind of choose how it was happening. Did a lot of coding. You can also type in your own incident cause. So this is the Ishikawa diagram right here, also known as a fishbone diagram. And basically, there are different factors that go into what caused the problem. And you can select how many lines basically you have per factor. So for those, really complex situations, you can list a lot of things. But we'll say 3. Say computer, mouse, keyboard. We'll skip that one for now.
Yeah, and most of the people on here will know how to fill out an Ishikawa.
Right.
We don't need to explain it, but we can show how it'll determine. You can just copy things into it.
Sure.
And the problem statement.
As you guys can tell, I work a lot with concrete in my day-to-day. Sorry. You type your manager supervisor's name. Choose this, and this is a timestamp that will be put on the report once it's successfully submitted. Take you back to the create screen, but we want to see so here we can see everything I just filled out. Let's see the attachments that we uploaded. Everything. Export it. Let's see the download. So, oh well. All right. Oh, you're not. All right, but I can't think of anything else, Brent.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nate. One thing that you may have noticed when you were looking at his screen is there were some other forms there. Those are part of the second phase of the safety module, which we will be doing a webinar on. That will be it looks simpler, but it will be a much more involved setup for those, where you'll be able to build your own safety and inspection forms in the safety module. But what Nate showed us are the standardized forms. Some things to keep in mind. Is there a place to record safety training? That is something that will likely be part of the form builder. That if you have a specific form that you like to keep track of things like safety training, we have functionality for that, but that'll not be in the first version of the safety module. Some other questions. Are you able to customize and add fields to the forms and reports? Sometimes. It depends. The forms that you saw, some of the fields are customized in the setup, like areas, divisions, locations, safety team. What we can do if you have specific requests on, say, the body map, could you show us the incident report again, Nate?
Yes, 1 second.
Not a problem.
The incident report.
Yes, please. You can
Okay.
just view one.
Yeah.
Okay, where you saw the body map, if there are different areas that you don't agree, you need it to be more specific than what we had on the body map, that can be adjusted on your server side by us. If there are different things you would like in the PPE or the incident causes, we can change those for you. You won't have access to change those, but those will be customer specific. These are our defaults as we release it. One other question is, yes, this will require a CV license to use this. If you do not have a CV license, you won't be able to access this.